The Iorì Wase podcast channel is brought to you by First Nations Fiber.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Lead, where we discuss the news and events happening in the community of Kahnawake. In this episode, we discuss junior and senior lacrosse in Kahnawake, Bill 96, and the Indigenous Block Party.
Have you ever been gaming or working online classes and your internet service constantly gets interrupted? First Nations Fiber is about to ensure that just won't happen again. Get ready for high speed at a new level. Click on fnfiber.com and sign up today. First Nations Fiber, empowering people through connectivity.
Hey everyone, my name is Jordan Standup. I am the assistant editor here at Iorì Wase, and today I am joined by my esteemed colleagues. First, our editor and publisher, Greg Horn, as well as our contributing writer, Marc Lalonde. Welcome to the studio today, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
How are you guys doing?
Can't complain. The weather is good, summer's upon us, and lots of fun things are coming down the pipe.
What Mark said.
What Mark said. And I'm glad that Mark mentioned that it's summer, because it is officially summer here in Kahnawake, which means lacrosse, lots of lacrosse. And for that, I will turn to our resident lacrosse expert, Mr. Greg Horn. So Greg, could you tell us a little bit about the Hunters season that was?
The Hunters season came to an end mid-June. It wasn't quite the season that the Hunters had expected. It's the first season coming off of the COVID break where there was no lacrosse for the last 2 summers. And there was a lot of young players who were just starting out their junior career who missed out on their midget careers. So that was a huge factor in the Hunters' performance this season. And there was a couple of games where I think things could have gone a little bit different and would have come out with wins. And at the end of the day, the Hunters ended with a record of 3-17. I think Ontario Junior Lacrosse season is quite demanding. It's 20 games in about 6 weeks. The Hunters play in the Far East Division with Akwesasne, Gloucester, and Nepean. And then they travel to the Toronto area twice a year, to play against this year the Hunters played against Aurelia and Orangeville in their first road trip of the year. And Orangeville is, it's a lacrosse hotbed. It's the first time in several years that Orangeville has a junior B team, but they also have a junior C team and a very promising and a good junior A team, which features Colton Marquis and Trey Deer from Kahnawake. Trey was drafted by the Orangeville Northmen last season, 2 seasons ago. So he had only played for the Hunters as a midget call-up, in the 2019 season. Colton had played, had finished his high school lacrosse season at the beginning of June, and then joined the Hunters for 4 or 5 games, and then at the end of the year, when it was apparent that we weren't going to be making a playoff push, Colton had moved up to junior A to finish the season with Orangeville, and his playing very well out there.
So although the Hunters season is over, the Mohawks are back on the floor at the senior level, and they're looking really, really good so far.
Yes, the Kahnawake Mohawks, it's also the first time the Kahnawake Mohawks senior B team has played since the 2019 President's Cup, which of course we hosted here at the Kahnawake Sports Complex. It started off very strong at the beginning of the season, going 3-0, and then playing a very strong Capital Region Axemen team fell for their first loss a couple weeks ago. And then this past Friday at a game in Cornwall against the Snake Island Muskies, it came down to really the last seconds. And the Muskies prevailed for their first win of the season to win 10-9, I believe. Then the Mohawks hosted the Axemen on Saturday night at the Kahnawake Sports Complex and prevailed by a score of 15-4.
And you were mentioning before, Greg, that clearly the community has missed lacrosse, because these home games for the Hunters and the Mohawks are there's been big crowds.
Yeah, the community has really come out and supported both lacrosse teams, which is just amazing, and the Hunters, despite their troubles this season, they put on a very, very very entertaining show, and the crowd, I think each game has been well over 500 or 600 people in attendance. And the same goes for the Mohawk season. The attendance has been very good. I think part of that is that this year, with only one senior B lacrosse team, a lot of the community's best players are coming out and playing for the Mohawks, and that's showing, up on the scoreboard and in the stands.
Sticking with our sports theme, the Kahnawake Memorial Foundation hosted the charity golf tournament at the Kahnawake Golf Club earlier this month, and they raised a very, very nice chunk of change. $150,000, in fact.
Yeah, $150,000 from one golf tournament is phenomenal. From one day of golf, and that's after all the bills were paid, paying the green fees, paying for the carts and the meal and everything. And, with all the donations from people from the silent auction or from the auction, and then from some of the side bets that were going on and all that, to raise $150,000 for the Kahnawake Memorial Foundation one day is quite phenomenal. And the community never ceases to amaze, for things like that, for worthy causes in the community. And, the Kahnawake Memorial Foundation, it benefits the Kahnawake Memorial Hospital Center as well as other unfunded health-related needs in the community. So just something phenomenal for the community to do. And, and when it's the business community coming together to sponsor all these things and have a great day of golf it's just phenomenal.
And with your very own eyes, you nearly saw a community member become a millionaire.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. One of the staples that has become part of the annual golf tournament is the Million-Dollar Shootout, which is sponsored by Playground Poker. The very first year, community member Matt Kirby hit the pin, and how they were doing it before was the Million-Dollar Shootout took place on the ninth hole. And for those who may not be familiar with the layout of Kahnawake, the ninth hole is right in front of the clubhouse, and it's like a bowl. So you can't from the tee you can't see the green, but you can see the pin, and it gave spectators the opportunity to stand around and watch. This year they did something a little bit different. They went on the 18th. They set up a tee 145 yards out from the hole. And again, if people are unfamiliar with the layout of Kahnawake, the 18th hole, the green is right next to the balcony of the clubhouse. So everybody who was enjoying refreshments afterwards and just relaxing before dinner was sitting outside and watching the $1 Million Shootout. And Jimmy Phillips, he came the closest. There was a couple of shots that came really close, but Jimmy's shot came up. It went just from our perspective. It went just left of the hole and started rolling down, and literally missed the rolling into the cup by less than an inch. And had that gone in, it would have been $1 million for Mr. Phillips. And I don't think anybody was more excited besides Jimmy than Nota Begay. Who was standing by watching, and you could see him screaming like, "Oh!"
Oh, that's excellent. And Nota Begay was actually invited by Robbie Dixon to come and join in on this year's tournament, correct?
Yeah, and that made it something crazy, and made another competition within the tournament. And so Robbie said that he would bet any team any amount of money, minimum bet $1,000, that he would match, that any team wouldn't be able to beat his team. And his team consisted of himself, Nota Begay, and a couple other really strong local golfers. I don't remember offhand who else was on it. At the end of the day, there was two teams tied: Robbie's team and a team, I believe, captained by Paul Rice. They were both at -13, so that meant a playoff. So each team was going to be playing the 18th hole until the tie was broken. In that playoff, it was, I think Paul's team had a chance for a birdie, and they ended up getting a par. And using Robbie's shot onto the green, and then Robbie's putt, Robbie's team was able to come out on top and score the birdie to win the tournament.
Wow! And
when all was said and done, the total bets within that side group of tournament with Robbie's team matching was $39,000. Robbie and his team donated that $39,000 right back to the fundraiser. So that helped pay a lot of the bills and make sure that the donation was $150,000.
That's incredible. Absolutely, congratulations to everybody involved in that tournament in whatever capacity, because that $150,000 is amazing. Another issue that's been dominating the headlines of Iorì and pretty much all around our area is Bill 96. The Kahnawake Education Center earlier this month announced that they were exploring the possibility of offering grade 12
Yes. For those who are unfamiliar, Bill 96 was passed by the Quebec National Assembly, and it's a bill to strengthen Quebec's Charter of the French Language, which is also known as Bill 101. And it gives way more powers and to the French language police, the Office Québécois de la langue française. It adds all kinds of new French requirements in CEGEP. It prevents healthcare workers from speaking English to certain members of the Quebec population. Any business larger than 25 employees is required to do all its internal communications in French. And the Office Québécois de la langue française will now have the power to monitor such communication, emails, and text messages without a warrant. There's a lot of concerns over this bill. And one of those concerns is at the CEGEP level. Anybody attending an English CEGEP in the province of Quebec, first of all, it sets a cap it lowers the amount of students that are allowed to attend Quebec CEGEP. So 17.5% of the entire student population in the province of Quebec attending university can attend an English CEGEP in the province of Quebec. There's going to be less spots available for students. And now, instead of just passing 2 French language courses, 1 per year, you have to now pass 5 total French courses in your CEGEP career. And in order to graduate, you also have to pass a French language proficiency test, which is the same test that students in French CEGEPs have to pass at the end of their CEGEP career. So it's a huge concern, right? We've seen, schools like Cooper Academy announce that they will begin offering a grade 12 option, which will give the students an Ontario secondary diploma, which would then allow them to attend university anywhere, not just in Quebec, without going to CEGEP. The Kahnawake Education Center announced in the last 2 weeks that it was also exploring the option of offering a grade 12. Now, Kahnawake is in a unique position because the Quebec government has an agreement with the community saying that it will recognize Kahnawake secondary school diplomas. It doesn't say to recognize Kahnawake secondary school diplomas to grade 11. So if they decide they're going to go to grade 12, that's the option. Then students can go directly from high school at the Kahnawake Survival School into university. They're still working out the logistics and whether or not it's going to be possible and what kind of additional cost it's going to be and how many people would be interested in doing it. So I believe they plan to have a decision by the start of the next school year and about what's going to happen with that possibility.
There's definitely a lot of interesting things on that front as we move forward. A little bit earlier, we were just talking about raising money, and now I'm going to turn to Mark, who's going to tell us about a hair-raising fundraiser.
That was a real interesting story that we happened upon last week in discussions with a member of the Kahnawake Animal Control Unit was telling me about the low-cost spay-neuter program, and this particular technician also works a day a week in Kirkland at the Timberley Veterinary Clinic, where a veterinarian shaved her head, raised funds for it, and donated all of the proceeds to the Kahnawake low-cost spay-neuter program for pets. It's quite a cool piece of news, and I think the most important short takeaway is that when this veterinarian started raising the money, she envisioned herself raising $1,000, and she ended up raising 4 times that amount. And it's not quite as big as the Kahnawake Memorial Golf Tournament, but at 4 times your target for a fundraiser, that's pretty impressive. So what that's going to mean is effectively that will subsidize a whole lot of low-cost spay-neuter appointments or possibilities for Kahnawake pets. So it's super cool, and I love to see these types of initiatives, especially when it comes to pets, because it's really important that you get your pet spayed or neutered, not only for their health, but for the health of all the people and animals around them.
We're sticking with our summer fun theme topic from a little bit earlier. Community members of all ages gathered together for the Indigenous Block Party at the Kahnawake Sports Complex just within the last couple of weeks. And Greg, can you tell us about some of the events that were happening that day?
June 21st, which is also National Indigenous People'S Day, formerly known as National Aboriginal Day. The Indigenous Block Party was held that day to coincide with that holiday. And to kick things off was a skateboard day. And that was a really cool event that Scott Berwick from the Cultural Center had organized. He had actually had a really cool initiative earlier on this year where Kahnawake artists from Kahnawake, Kanestage, Tyendinaga, Six Nations, and maybe Agwazasne had designed skateboards and made designs for skateboards, and they were put on skateboards, and these decks were sold at the cultural centers of each community. And, the skateboards from the local artists here in Kahnawake sold out at the cultural center here. And, that's kind of what kickstarted this whole thing. And then as a part of it, there was some vendors, Kahnawake Tourism got involved. There was the painting of a community mural. There was a lacrosse demonstration, and later on a lacrosse game, a soccer game featuring the Kahnawake senior women's soccer team playing against a squad from Agwazasne, which was a really, really cool thing to see, because you don't get to see Kahnawake and Agwazasne competing in soccer very often. It was really just a fun day. A bunch of vendors, there was some food, and the weather wasn't like, it was cloudy, a little bit overcast, but it wasn't hot. And the community really came out and supported this initiative, and it was something really cool to see. And hopefully we see things like that, happening again in the future.
This summer also marks the 50th anniversary of the Onage Paddling Club. And of course, they're hosting an array of events throughout the season to mark the anniversary, including a regatta just recently where they had some participation from outside clubs. And I know they're going to be introducing some family nights and different things like that again, and incorporating more Ganyageha into their regular programming. And that's just a shout out for Onage, because, they've been in the community for that long, and just the things that they've been doing for the youth, especially as of late.
Yeah, and that's such a great initiative. Onage Paddling Club is, become a staple in this community, and it's 50 years old. And it's something that I think the community can be proud of. And there hasn't been a regatta here in the last couple of years, especially over COVID. So the regatta was held, it was the first one of the season in the area. We're starting to see more and more competitive paddlers come out of Onage. And one of the things that I think that we need to really highlight about the Onage Paddling Club is that it has also helped produce an Olympic champion. Alan Morris was a member of the Onage Paddling Club, and he won a gold medal and a bronze medal at the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. That's something that's an important part of the community's history.
We're nearly finished with the month of June now, and we're heading obviously into July. Of course, this July 9th and 10th, is the return of the Echoes of a Proud Nation powwow, which I'm sure the whole community is really looking forward to. But I wanted to ask you guys, both personally and on a professional level, what are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to the food. I have heard such amazing things about the food stands and trucks available at the Echoes of a Proud Nation powwow. And I'll be quite frank with you, I am coming down to sample every last one of them. So I cannot wait. I'm going to go for a long walk in the morning and lift weights and build up an appetite. And then I'm going to spend my day out here chowing down on the very best of what Kahnawake has to offer. And I cannot wait.
I think it's important to note, too, that even though it's now 31 years since the Echoes of Proud Nation powwow first happened, in the summer of 1991, this will be the 30th anniversary, because we lost out on the last two Echoes of Proud Nation powwows because of the pandemic. So this is a very special powwow for the community. It's been one of those long-standing summer traditions that was born out of the tumultuous summer of 1990. And the following year, in 1991, the first Echoes of Proud Nation powwow was introduced as a way to show our neighbors that we're not bad people, inviting them into our community to celebrate and experience some Indigenous culture. Powwow isn't a Haudenosaunee thing, but it also features the smoke dance competition. It features local artists and, a lot of different, Indigenous cultures from across North America, come to the Echoes of Proud Nation powwow. And, it's an important weekend. It's our community extending an olive branch to our neighbors and those who are interested in learning about our community to come here and experience some of our culture.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to covering that. And as Mark was just mentioning, we're certainly looking forward to the food.
Oh boy, are we ever.
Well, with that being said, I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for coming in today and just talking about some of the things that have been making headlines in our community over the past month.
And y'all go, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks for listening to The Lead. Be sure to check out our other podcasts like Meatheads and The Beating Table on Google and Spotify or wherever you get your podcast.